In this video, I want to talk to you about 6 best side hustle ideas in my humble opinion. Now to me, there's 2 main types of side hustles. The first type of side hustle ideas are ultimately things that you do in the short term to trade time for money. The second type of side hustle ideas are things that will ultimately replace your yearly salary. Now there's definitely a place for both types of side hustles depending on what your goals are and what you want to do with your professional career. So for option's sake, I'm going to cover 3 side hustles where you can just trade time for money in the short term and another 3 side hustles where it will ultimately replace your salary if you stay with it long enough. Now for each of the side hustle, I'm going to talk about the amount of time that's required from you to make it work, as well as the potential reward and how you can build that side hustle yourself. Now like I said in my other videos, it takes me a while to get ready. It takes time to brush my hair, put on the same t-shirt and the same jeans every single time. Yes, I am wearing pants. So would it be a crazy idea that if at any point in this video that you enjoy and you got something out of it, all I ask of you is just to gently smash that like button so that I can pay for more dumplings. Without further ado, let's go. Alright, so let's start with things where you can trade time for money in the short term. So the first side hustle idea is transcribing videos for rev.com. Now the good thing about rev.com is that you're paid in US dollars, which is fantastic. If you're in Australia, that is a massive bonus. I can tell you that I personally use rev.com myself. I pay for a transcription service to get everything that I'm saying in this video to be text, so that for whatever reason, people are finding it hard to understand me in English, they can just read the subtitles. If you're curious about the pay, I'm gonna pop that on the screen right now. So as you can see here, that transcriptionist gets paid anywhere between 30 cents to about $1 for every video minute that you transcribe, and captioner gets about 50 cents to $1.10 for you creating the captions with the timing. So if you have some spare time and you just want to trade that for money, this could be a really good way in the short term for you to generate some additional cash flow. Now the second side hustle idea is customer experience reviews with usertesting.com. Now essentially what you're doing here is that companies are paying usertesting.com to find a particular group of people to review their product features or a specific part of their user experience. Now the cool thing about usertesting.com or any other review websites is that you actually get to see some prototypes or some early features of a product of some companies that you might actually know. So this is a really eye-opening experience and you get paid to do it. So I've done it myself last year just for fun, and for every review that you do, it's about 20 minutes and you get about $10 US. And the cool thing about usertesting.com or any other website that does similar things is that the more or the better reviews that you give, or the more detail that you give, the more reviews they're gonna ask of you. So the main thing to remember when it comes to doing customer experience reviews is that you want to follow the instructions very clearly, and you don't want to do it when things are really loud on the background or your internet connection is not stable, because otherwise you just won't be paid. Oh, I just want to mention that all the side hustle ideas that I'm going to talk about, I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested. And the third side hustle idea when it comes to trading time for money is being a freelancer on platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, and some of the other places. Now, if you want to create profiles in these platforms that I just mentioned, I will go in this order. I will go Fiverr.com, freelancer.com, and then upwork.com. Now the reason why you want to do that is because there's a lot more people on Upwork compared to Freelancer compared to Fiverr. So because there's so many people, it might take you a little while to get approved. Now the other thing when it comes to being a freelancer on these platforms like Upwork, freelancer.com, or Fiverr.com is that in the beginning, you do want to get your family or friends to hire you as a freelancer and then give you a great rating to begin with. Now it sounds really bad, but in these platforms, it's incredibly hard to get jobs if you have no ratings, no feedback whatsoever. Now I know that because I came from the other end. I often use these platforms as a way to find freelancers to support my projects or work. And for me, whenever there is a freelancer with no ratings, I just completely ignore them. So if you do want to start on these platforms, make sure that you take the time to get your family or friends to just hire you as a freelancer and then ask them to give you a great rating, some great feedback. Do it a couple times so that you have some great ratings on the back of your profile. That will make your life so much easier. I can promise you that. Now, in terms of time commitment and also payment, time is highly dependent on the project. And similarly with payment, that's also depending on the client. But what I would say is that just don't expect to get paid bank on these platforms, because that's not where you find clients that will pay you tons of money. Use these platforms as a way to generate cash flow in the short term, build up your portfolio, work on your craft, and if you get lucky, you might be able to find some long-term clients on these platforms as well. Now, the 3 side hustle ideas I just mentioned are a great way to essentially trade time for money in the short term. Now, there's plenty of other ideas to trade time for money as well, but there's one more thing that I think is really worthwhile mentioning is dog walking. Now, if I was going to trade time for money, I really enjoy having dogs. I used to have a dog when I was younger, so that's something that I wouldn't even mind trading time for, not to mention I get paid. So on the dog walking point, if you're in Australia, I highly recommend you to check out Map that pause. I honestly really like what the guys are doing over there. So yes, link in the description. So now that we've got some of the side hustle ideas where we're trading time for money out of the way, it's time we'll talk about something a little bit more juicier, more sustainable. And these are essentially the side hustles where if you stay with it long enough, you can ultimately replace your salary with income from the side hustles. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. So the first side hustle idea will ultimately become an economic engine for you is starting a YouTube channel. Now, I've been talking about this for the last couple months, and I really think starting a YouTube channel is a great idea, not just for your wallet, but also for your own knowledge and pushing your own boundaries. Now, for me personally, I have a finance background and I really enjoy it. But the problem when it comes to talking about finance, investing, and some of the other common things I'll talk about in my channel is that it's
really complicated in textbooks.
And communicating that in a way that a 5-year-old or anyone can understand is actually really hard. So doing YouTube videos is such a great way for myself to relearn some of the things that I've learned in the past, to recapture and rethink about why and how I'm currently investing to build my wealth. And the most important challenge for me to grow as a professional is how do I communicate a complex topic in simple terms that anyone can understand? And creating YouTube videos is such an incredible way to test yourself and push yourself to grow as a professional as well. Now for YouTube videos, you're either creating content where you're educating people or you're entertaining people. Now it's really good if you can create content that is both educational and entertaining. And not to mention that YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and the amount of time being uploaded and also viewed is absolutely staggering. From a time perspective, I can tell you that it takes me anywhere between 3 to 4 hours to research a topic so that I can capture some of the key things I want to communicate with you. And that also allows me to plan how I'll say or communicate certain concepts so that it's not overly complicated, to make it easier for everyone to digest. It takes me about 3 to 4 hours to shoot the videos that you're watching right now. And it takes me about 4 to 5 hours to edit the videos into something that's short, snappy, and also fun. Obviously, it's taking me so long because I'm still an amateur. It takes me time to adjust my position, to adjust my lighting.
Because I don't really know what I'm doing yet.
And I'm still experimenting and trying out a lot of the different things myself. Okay, so we got the boring stuff out of the way, the planning, the creating the videos, and also editing. How much do you really get paid when it comes to YouTube videos? In order to get paid via YouTube, there's 2 main requirements. Now, you need about 1,000 subscribers and you need 4,000 hours of watch time. Now on the screen right now is where I'm at in my journey. So currently at the time of recording this video, I'm at 1,300 subscribers and about 2,100 watch hours. That means I'm basically halfway before YouTube will officially place ads on my videos and I'll get paid for that. Now it means a lot to me that you guys been watching my videos, gently smashing that like button, because ultimately without you guys, I wouldn't be at 1,000 subs, not to mention even 2,000 watch hours. That's crazy. But as you continue to gently smash that like button right there, ultimately YouTube will pay for my dumplings, and yeah, I'll be pretty happy about that. So when it comes to the amount of dollars that you can pay, is highly dependent on the topic that you are creating videos about. Now, if you're creating topics like what I'm talking about right now, personal finance, anything that a lot of advertisers want to put advertisements on, then of course your cost per 1,000 impressions will ultimately go up. Now, if you're creating videos where it's harder for advertisers to put ads on it, then yes, your cost per 1,000 impressions will be a lot lower. Now, if you want a hard figure in terms of how much certain YouTubers are getting paid, just search for how much does YouTubers get paid. And there's actually a ton of videos where people from different topics have created to talk about how much they are really getting paid. Now, I'm a couple months away where YouTube would start paying me, so I'll talk to you about the hard figures then. Now, one of the last things I want to mention is that you don't have to rely on YouTube ads. There's affiliate income, there is your own products. There's many different ways where you can monetize the audience to create an additional income stream on top of YouTube ads. And because of that, there's really no ceiling in terms of how much you can earn as a YouTuber. But the most important thing is that it's entirely up to you to create videos to attract engaging audience and build up your fan base. And knowing that I personally won't be paid for at least 6 to 8 months when it comes to creating content, the question becomes, how do I make the most of these videos I'm creating for you right now to supplement my income in the meantime? Because they really take a lot of time to make. So as a growth marketer that knows a thing or two about content SEO, and SEO stands for search engine optimization, I naturally thought a lot about repurposing the videos into blogs, which is the next side hustle idea right now. So the second side hustle idea that will ultimately become an economic engine to replace your salary is starting a blog. Now, starting a blog in a very competitive space and trying to get traffic from Google search engine is highly improbable because of the competition. But the good news is that as long as you can get traffic to your site, you can still get paid using Google AdSense, other ad networks, or affiliate marketing while you wait for the search engine optimization magic to slowly trickle in. Now, of course, I like to say that I'm not an awful growth marketer. After I led a venture funded startup that raised $2.25 million and I 6 times their monthly revenue after about 9 months, I don't think I am that bad at my job. So I wanted to put my money where my mouth is to see if I could build a website completely from scratch with no SEO help whatsoever. I write everything myself and see how long it takes me to completely replace my salary. And repurposing the videos into blogs was a natural transition because I don't have to write something completely from scratch. Now, there's no point really thinking about monetization at this point because there is no traffic to monetize anyway. So my primary objective when I first started my blog was very much about how do I build a sustainable source of traffic onto the website. So if you ever do get a chance to work in startups, one of the most important things for a growth team is thinking about acquisition loops and engagement loops. Let me explain with a Pinterest example and I'll tie it back to my blog. Pay attention here because this is where clients pay me a lot of money for this. Now, if you look on the screen here, this is an acquisition loop for Pinterest. Every time a new user signs up to Pinterest, they will be prompted with either new or relevant content that they think the user will enjoy, and the user have a choice to either repin the content that they see or create their own pins. Now, if they choose to create their own pins, what ends up happening is that Google will ultimately index that content on their search engine, allowing new users on the internet to find that piece of content. And indexing really just means that think of Google as a massive database, and in order for you to retrieve a certain result, it needs to insert that new piece of information into the database. Now, the reason why this is sustainable is because the more users create new content, the more content Google indexes, the more users will ultimately find that content. And that will actually spin faster as time goes on. Now, let me tie it back to my blog with the same loop, except it's my content. And I'll show you my acquisition loop on the screen right now. As new readers see my content as images on Pinterest, they will ultimately repin that content if I've done my job right in designing something that's worthwhile repinning. Now, as they repin my images across Pinterest, more people across the Pinterest ecosystem will see my image. And that means more views and more eyeballs on that image. Now, the beautiful thing about that is that the image ultimately links back to my blog post. And as more people see it, some people will click through to it. And as that image gets repinned over and over again, it actually builds up a very sustainable source of traffic back to my website. Now, at this point, you must be wondering what channels in general have these inherent acquisition loops. The top 3 channels that I can recommend that have inherent acquisition loops are Pinterest, Quora, and YouTube. Now, if all of that information doesn't deserve a gentle tap on the like button, I don't really know what does. So here's further proof about getting traffic to my blog. I started the blog in early February, and you can see that there's just not much going on the website. But over time, as I build up more and more, momentum started to happen. You can see that Quora is driving tons of traffic to my site, and so is Pinterest. And since traffic has started to happen in my blog, one of the first ways that I wanted to monetize the traffic is to use Google AdSense. I didn't want to spend too much time thinking about monetization yet, because I still need a lot of time to build up my relationship with you guys. But just to let you know how much I've made so far since I started the blog, it's been about a month since I got approved on Google AdSense, and it generated around $15 over the last 28 days. Look, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's gonna take a little while until my website can completely replace my salary. But hey, I am going to sleep and I'm making money while I am sleeping, and I'm happy about that. I'm absolutely okay with that. And it's gonna take a little while until that blog can ultimately replace your entire salary. But when it does, that source of income will be a lot more passive compared to trading your time working for someone else. I think I've been recording a little too long. It's getting dark outside and it's about to rain. But the last side hustle idea that will ultimately create an economic engine that will replace your salary completely is writing on Medium. Now, Medium was a company that started by Evan Williams, and Evan was a key personnel who helped start Blogger, which is a company that got acquired by Google, and also Twitter. Medium ultimately is a place where writers can tell an incredible, useful story to improve all our lives. And similar to YouTube, what Medium really cares about is reading time. So the more engaging, the more educational, and more well-researched your stories are, the more Medium is actually going to pay you as a writer. Now, the thing about Medium is that the partner program actually don't have any requirements, unlike YouTube right now. And maybe it's still early days and they don't want to restrict the amount of writers going onto the platform. So this is a really good opportunity to take advantage of while you still can. In terms of time required to make this platform work, it's purely up to you as a writer. It's up to you in terms of how well-researched the stories are, how educational the stories are, and how you distribute the stories as well. Now, of course, the longer people read your stories, the more Medium is going to pay you. Now, in terms of an actual figure, it's hard to say because everyone gets paid very, very differently. But we do know that some of the writers can pay upwards of 5 figures a month if their stories went absolutely berserk. Now, should you expect that? Absolutely not. Like anything, it's going to require hard work and perseverance to build up an audience, build up a relationship with the people on the platform so that people do want to read your stories. But the one thing I will say is that if you do want to go down this route, make sure you spend the time researching the platform, learn what kind of stories work for you, and this definitely can be one of the side hustles that will replace a big portion of your salary. Oh, not to mention that all of the dollars paid by Medium are in US dollars. Now, before we wrap this video up, I'm gonna mention 3 bonus ideas and you can take it or leave it. Online courses, newsletters using Substack, and help brick and mortar businesses go digital using Shopify. If you're interested in learning more about any of those 3, give me a thumbs up in the comments below. Depending on what people want to know more, I might do an additional video to explore some of the bonus side hustle ideas I just mentioned. As usual, I really appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end, and that means a lot to me. And if you want to support me, just remember by gently smashing that like button and subscribing to my channel, clicking onto the bell. That will ultimately pay for my dumplings sometime in the future. Until next time, see you soon. And it's raining outside.